We breaking bread, we breaking bread, we breaking bread, one conversation at a time. We breaking bread, we breaking bread, we breaking bread, one conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
Hey, welcome back to the Breaking Bread Village. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Really excited about this conversation, just to bring more awareness and just transparency to kind of what is going on in our world right now in regards to our homeless youth. So I'm really excited to welcome our guest today. Now I want to say this quickly. Our guests that we have today, I actually saw them on a panel of other experts, and it was just something about their energy that I said, okay, I need to reach out. So while they were talking, I will admit I was trying to figure out what their email was and how I could get in touch with them as they were talking, so I could get on here to be able to discuss this topic. So I'm very happy that we were able to do that. So let me go ahead and bring them on right now. Welcome.
Hey there.
Oh, I'm so happy for you to be here. So I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Thank you. So my name is D.L. McKinney, and I use they, them pronouns. Currently, I am the director of Drop-In over in Grand Rapids for the Drop-In Center called AYA Youth Collective, and AYA stands for As You Are. I'll just go ahead and say that Drop-In is for specifically youth 14 to 24 years of age. And we just create a safe space. We start with community and inclusion and agency first. So we want youth to be able to come in who are experiencing crisis or housing instability to feel safe and be able to be who they are in the moment. And so we just have space for anything, you name it. The building is big. It allows for, free laundry, showers, a hot meal, and then even diving deeper into that, just that connection with a counselor, or on our team, we have just great advocates and a coordinator that can connect and just give their own lived experiences and really just get that person where they need to be. So, yeah.
Awesome. Did you want to share more about that?
Yeah. And so people think about Drop-In, and we get this all the time. We get calls and they wonder where the beds are. So it's not a shelter. It's not a community center. Drop-In is a specific model that really reaches into that urgency for youth to know that if they need services, they get them right then and there. We're not open all day for people to walk in and out, especially due to COVID. But beforehand, we would have scheduled times where we would be open for services, and youth can come in, they can spend 2 or 3 hours, get what they need to do, rest, and just restore and heal to be able to say, all right, I'm stepping back out. Because guess what? They don't need us. They are resilient. They don't need us 22 hours out of the day. They don't need us. And we understand and we respect that. So we're going to push them into that area that they can feel safe to do what they need to do for themselves in order to step back out into the world and say, here I am. So
awesome. Thank you for clearing that up, because in my mind, I always thought a Drop-In was like a shelter as well, where people could kind of drop in whenever they needed to, so to speak, throughout the day and stay there. So thank you for clearing that up for me. I appreciate that. And I'm sure other people had that question as well. So my other question for you is homelessness, our youth. How are they being impacted? Because, I don't think that people understand the amount of youth that are impacted by this, because some of us live in communities where we may not see it, right? People don't see it a lot, and they think it's not there, or they think that it's a result of some bad thing that got them there. Can you kind of tell us how our youth are being impacted specifically?
Yeah, and I'll start with just prefacing that I'm going to give you the information that I see. So this is going to be information from Grand Rapids in my community, numbers that we pull and that we're aware of. And honestly, we've been open. This is our 6th year. The doors have been open, and we've seen over 1,400 young people.
Wow.
1,400 some people. have
Wow.
walked through our doors in crisis. So that right there is too much, right? So that's
Yeah.
an impact right there. And I know even being a part of different committees and working with our coalition to end homelessness and everything in town, we see and we have numbers of young people and families. Just last month, 107, I want to say, was the report of
Mm.
that are homeless.
Mhm.
Over 80 of those are unsheltered. So that's in areas that aren't made for living. So that's outside, that's in cars. Um, and what really impacts that is not anything at the fault of that young person. I push that all the time with people. You don't say a young person is the cause of their own pain.
Yeah.
It's people that look like us and people that may be a little bit lighter complexion, I'm gonna be honest, that
Mhm.
have stepped into a place where they've traumatized these young people and forced them to exit.
Mm.
And so you think about, shoot, I've seen so many different situations where young people have been the older sibling and they feel like, for the younger siblings to eat, they exit. They have to leave.
Wow. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. Wow.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it happens all the time. This is, homelessness is not a selfish act. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, youth are resilient and they're working towards protecting usually somebody else. There are
Wow.
so many caregivers. So I talk about this all the time when I'm in the center, when I do tours, and I say, you see so much potential in the young people that step into the building. I see therapists, I see accountants, I see music producers. That all
Yeah.
happens because they have that in them. And a lot of
Mhm.
them get that care in that way. So I mean, yeah, you think about just the family situation, violence and assault and abuse is always a part of that too. We see that a lot. Um, Sexual orientation, gender identity is a huge part too that causes a young person to have to exit to stay safe. You think about the pipeline of foster care, which I'm not digging foster care, but
Yeah.
there's definitely a pipeline to that. And I mean,
It's actually an upcoming show. We're going to be talking about foster care because this is
good.
going to be an extension of this because I believe they all kind of go hand in hand, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the system just isn't made for young
Yeah.
people, right? It's not for young people at hand. Uh,
Yeah.
there, there's too much thinking about red line and bottom lines and numbers that we forget about the humans that we're processing through this, right? And so just thinking about foster care, 18. I didn't know what I was doing when I was 18. I
Yeah.
was not an adult. Don't cut me off. I was not an adult.
Right.
So we see that a lot with people who have been put into foster care for a reason, and usually that's trauma. Usually there's abuse. Usually there's crisis, and
Mhm.
so soft skills and those hard skills aren't there already. And so you think about that pipeline because you put someone who doesn't have those skills, you don't give them much more than that, and then you kick them out at 18. What are they supposed to do with that?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, and that just, that goes bigger into like the mental and behavioral health issues that we see, especially with our Black young men. I will say that we see
Okay.
that at a high amount. We see young boys that come in that seem threatening, that seem like they can't be helped because they're too dangerous when they're
Mm.
only 14 or 15 years old and they're
Yeah.
put into a cycle, right? So that kind of like outshoots into that too. So.
Wow. I didn't. You really hit me with the older sibling that leaves out so that their younger sibling could have food or be taken care of. That's
Mhm.
really deep because that never would have crossed my mind as one of the reasons why a young person would end up homeless.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's not even a sibling, maybe it's a parent. Like
Mm.
mom tried her hardest and I'm just another bill. Like I'm just too
Oh,
much.
yeah.
And then we also, there's this
Mm.
whole idea, especially in the Black community, that you're grown, when you get some hair on your chest, you know what I'm saying? So just the idea that you have to take care of yourself in a certain way or protect others without your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Also, like makes that deterioration happen. So.
Wow, that's deep. Wow. I mean, and working in the juvenile care system, I did see a lot of youth that became the parents mentally and emotionally, where they feel like they had to be the one to take care of the parents. They had to solve it. They were the reason why things weren't working, or the reason, or how something could be fixed. And I used to tell them, you are a child. You're a child. I'm gonna let you be a child today. You get to be a child with me because you're not an adult yet, and you shouldn't have to worry about adult type issues. But unfortunately, oftentimes they do. And you kind of covered this next question in regards to what causes, homelessness. What are some of the causes? Because I do believe some people just think, especially when it comes, well, adults too, when they see an adult that's homeless, they assume that they're lazy, or they just didn't want to do right, and they ended up or on drugs, which is sometimes a factor. Of course, we know that. But sometimes it's other causes. But you kind of touched on that in regards to different things that happen within the home. But I do want to touch on the LGBTQ plus community. How are they impacted by, like, how does that impact their lives? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask, because I know some people who were put out their homes because they said they were gay or they were lesbian or what have you. So do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, so our numbers for our drop-in center, specifically of youth that identify as LGBTQ or other gender identity, is closer to the national average of almost 40%.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yep. So almost half of the young people that we see identify as such, and
Oh, wow. Well, that was my
really,
next question.
yeah, it really pours into the fact that
Oh, wow.
there are no protections. Michigan, there are no protections. I literally just had somebody reach out to me today to ask for local policies on how LGBT youth, especially those who are homeless, are protected. There's nothing. So you have to step into this place of I'm not accepted where I'm at home. I can't go outside and be myself at fear of being harmed. I can't be protected by police. I can't be protected by schools. So of course, like, where do you go? You have to isolate, right? You have to exit. And that is a huge issue. I mean, personal story, this is where my connection with the work that I do has came in, because I, from 13 to 15 years old, had to exit my home because
Oh, wow.
because I came out at, Ricky Lake told me all about gay stuff. I was like, you're right. That is me. You're right.
Ricky, like, I remember that show.
And so, from the age of 13 to 15, I was just like, this is who I am. But my mother did not agree with that. And I suffered a lot of abuse at the hands of that. And I had to exit, which, when I had to exit, it put me in the face of a lot of grown folks that ain't doing the right thing.
Yes, yes. Was that a choice of your own because of the abuse, or was that her choice to put you out?
No, right. So another thing with the Black community, you're not going to tell your business. So I had a bed, I had a space, I had food, but I was afraid to step inside that home. That mental abuse was like way worse than me going outside, finding places to stay, and giving my body to stay a place. That was easier than having to go home.
That's so disheartening. I'm so sorry. I know you're not looking for my pity, and I'm not trying to give that to you, but I'm just trying to empathize, because it's just beyond me, especially somebody that connects so well with youth. I can't imagine, even with my own children, saying, because you're not aligned to what I think you should be or something, I'm going to just put you out there to the wolves. It's just, and I'm not judging, I don't know what her situation is and why, she chose to do what she did. But I'm just saying, that's just deep to me. That's just deep that, a person feels safer out amongst the wolves.
And I like to point that out too, jumping a little bit, that homelessness doesn't always look like dirty clothes, broken teeth, having to sign out and chilling out in on the street. It could be, again, couch surfing. It could be institutions, staying at a church. It could be staying at a homeless shelter. It could be staying at a car in an abandoned building, all those things. So yeah, and it makes it even harder because you don't fit into a box.
Yeah.
You can't be recognized. You can't be seen if nobody sees you as valid, right? So, yeah.
Wow, that's deep. And that kind of leads to the next thing, in regards to COVID. How has COVID impacted this? Because I know, as I shared with you while we were in Q, growing up, I grew up in the city, and I remember seeing, you see, someone that was visibly homeless, in the libraries or sitting in like a coffee shop, especially when it was cold out, they would take those places and go, or, just to get warm or wash up in the bathroom. How's COVID impacted, and have you seen an increase, or how has that worked, with your facility?
I mean, our numbers have decreased drastically. And that's mostly because we can't, like, our the way we're set up is not germ free at all. We're this big building, the drop-in
Right.
center is an open space
Yeah.
where we used to get 40 to 50 young people at a time just
Wow.
loving each other, right? Like, that is not a good space for COVID. So we've had to modify. Yeah, we've had to modify ourselves where we're at appointments and we're seeing less than 10 youth an hour for only a few hours a day. So it's like cutting half the numbers. And what we're seeing, and you bring up libraries, I will go hard for libraries because that is like the first, I feel like, in history, social service.
Yeah.
Because that is a place where you can get an education, you can get resources to connect to other people, you can stay warm, you can stay seen,
Yeah.
stay safe. So, like, having those, like, even our library here in Grand Rapids, you can only stay 30 minutes at a time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's not their fault, right? Like, this is what we're all having to modify. But the
Wow.
idea is that now we're cutting out space for people to be.
Yeah, right. That's my concern, because I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it due to COVID, and I get why people, and I guess that they've been doing that since COVID, but not before. You can stay however long you want it. But yeah, so I get it. But yeah, now I'm thinking, okay, where are people to go? Where do they go now? If a lot of our spaces are being taken from them.
I mean, I've noticed myself increase, especially with our young people. They've connected back with family. That's not always a great thing.
Oh,
Yeah, we've had a lot of situations where the parents are calling, a month later talking about take this kid out of my house, like, so, and we have people coming up saying, well, where can I be? It's cold. And we have a warming center. We do have a shelter. We have a shelter that does work with a large population of people, but that's definitely not always a safe place for young people that haven't been through all that trauma and haven't been able to interact with people who have been in the system and been through the cycle for 40 or 50 years. So
yeah,
it's like it's like a tug of war here. Where do they go, right? If
yeah,
they do find places, again, youth are resilient, young people are resilient specifically, and they do find places, they do make connections with people. And again, that's not always safe. And they
right.
move around. I mean, I've had people move from state to state during this last year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep, just trying to find a place to stay. I've had somebody who, and this was new to me, they would ride like the Greyhound.
Oh, yeah.
They would work and save enough money to ride the Greyhound around the US just to have a place to stay, because that was the bus was,
Wow.
so they're finding ways to stay warm, to stay connected, to stay as safe as possible, but it's all over the place.
How draining is that? Because I know for me, what'd you say?
I said absolutely.
Yes, I mean, how draining to like try to constantly be trying to think, okay, where can I go, and just riding the Grey. I mean, because I rode the Greyhound before. It's not that relaxing, And then when you're doing it out of necessity, and also, bringing your things along with you, it's just a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, even more than that, how draining is it to know that you don't have a place to put your head?
Right,
You're
right.
like, I don't know if I can make this doctor's appointment the next day because I don't know where I'm going to be. Or I
Yeah,
don't know if I can finish class because I don't know if I'm going to be 20 miles away or right down the street.
yeah.
That's, yeah, it's exhausting.
Just exhausting and just draining. Wow. Oh, so I want to ask you, so, and you kind of covered this too. I kind of had some talking points up here because I wanted to make sure to get these kind of out. But just some major reasons that you've seen to contribute to you being homeless. And I know you talked about family and identity. How big is how do I want to say it? Is abuse a higher number? Is that more what you see abuse, or is it more so toxic? And they're both toxic, but you get what I'm saying, like physical abuse, mental abuse, or is it just like where the dynamics of the household are to where it's unlivable? You know what I'm saying? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because a lot of this information that we get is from disclosure.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yep. So that is a hard thing to pinpoint, but I will tell you what is clear. Well, we have numbers about what causes homelessness. Racism.
So talk about that.
Okay.
Talk about that because I've talked about that before to someone and they didn't quite get what I was trying to say. So you talk about it. Maybe you can say it in a different way.
Oh, how many angles can I point to? I mean, the systemic pieces of oppression are in every facet of what we try to do. And the system is not made for people with browner skin, especially browner skin and young in age. Like it just doesn't work. I mean, we have barriers within even getting a doctor's appointment. You had like if you want solid care, we know there's a stigma to having Medicaid. So you already have a blockade right there.
Yes. Yes.
And then, you know, what other angle? Like if you think about being able to walk the streets or being able to get a job, there's already barriers right there of how we know that there's racism in all organizations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about just education, I'm gonna throw this out there, safe space. You know, we just hired 2 new staff and going through that process of applications because I look for lived experience. I don't care if you got a BSW, MSW, a doctorate, I don't care.
Say it. You know what? It's a lot of people with lived experience that do the job and can do the job way better than someone that sat in the class. But keep going.
Yep, but sitting in the room or virtual with these people, white, black, all different makeups, you know, there's a definite a gap in how the opportunities for white people are different than black people. Like I had so many people step into the room with all these certificates and volunteering. It looks beautiful on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you know, my dude over here who's lived in Grand Rapids the entire time, who has brown skin and has lived that life. No, he didn't get to have that training, but that's okay. You know, it's so apparent. It's so apparent how those things just stop us from having wealth and opportunity. So I can hit every angle.
Well, you can hit a couple more because I mean, people, and it's just always so interesting to me because people don't quite understand that when you talk about racism, sometimes, you know, especially within a system, you're not talking about a specific person. This is a system, a way of thinking, a mindset, a culture that has been cultivated specifically to help certain groups. I mean, so, you know, I don't think people get that sometimes.
Yeah, and you think about like a big piece, it's not a person, professionalism. I have so many young people that go from job to job because they don't have the skills that maybe you and I would to deal with that crappy supervisor or
To navigate, right? To learn how we learn how to navigate. Yeah.
Yeah. To be able to say, oh, I don't have black shoes. I've had so many young people come up to me and say, I'm here because I just didn't go into work because I don't have the shoes or I don't have the pants. That's racism to me, not having that opportunity. It is. You step into that space saying, like, why can't these young black, I'm saying black because of the people that we see, the youth that we see, over 40% identify as black.
Okay.
74% people of color of different races. So it's intentional. You can see all this. Why is that we have 18% in Grand Rapids that are a population of black people, but when I go to drop in, it's almost 50%. It doubled. Like it's insane.
Well, that's like, I mean, that's the same with incarceration. I mean, it's all the same type of systems that just kind of keep growing along the way.
But you know, I say it's racism because you step into the idea that why do they not have that opportunity to have those resources as in somebody else who does? Somebody else with lighter skin who does, because they have the programming, they have the almost like the capability to have that grace to make the mistakes.
Which can be true. Yeah.
Because, like I think about my 22-year-old. He's kind of privileged. I'm gonna step into that.
Yeah.
You can get a job, lose it, and still have a home, right? But again,
Right.
into that fact that we have a lot of young people that we know identify as a person of color that have to exit because their own family, their own generation cannot be able to sustain that wealth, right? So they have to make
Mm,
sure they keep that momentum going. And
yeah.
and a lot of times that means I do have to jump job to job, even though that's not sustaining wealth. It's
Right.
so backwards. It makes me think about like uh credit scores. I'm jumping a little bit,
Oh,
but
I was just no. You no, because I was just about, and I'm gonna let you say your point, but I was just thinking about that how you cannot get a loan or get approved for a mortgage of like $600 to $900, right? But they expect you to pay a $1,500 rent, a month. It's like that's backwards to me.
it is, but that's the same thing with being able to get shoes or being
Yeah,
able to get into a program. You don't
yeah,
have first of all, you don't know the people,
yeah,
right? In this world, you got to know people to get somewhere, unfortunately. And if
yeah.
you're a white face that is in a white family, you're not going to gel as well with the CEO that is probably also white, right?
Which
And
I mean, it's true. It's just true. Yeah,
and so then you think about that. So that's why I say I think about credit score because again, yeah, you have lower wealth, so you have to pay more because they don't trust that you're going to pay it off.
and there it is, and then you can't get anything. No, it's the truth. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day about credit score and how it is very very blatant in the way that it discriminates, and it's really unfortunate. So I'm glad you pointed out because I was just talking about that the other day.
Yep. And then I mean, housing too, right? So you
Yeah,
have to have a credit score, you have to have zero. If they treat evictions like it's a felony,
yeah,
it is wild. Like you can't have a situation where you get kicked out of any program or anything like that because then you'll never be able to climb uphill ever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's racism.
I
That
mean,
is. You know,
well, I mean, even when you think, even when you think about, car insurance, they check your credit score for car insurance, and it's like then you get discriminated against, and then you have to pay higher. You have to pay higher, when they already know you're struggling, and then they make you pay higher, and it's just that's insane to me. Very
and
much
it's about
insane.
co-signing, right? So
Yes.
who do you know they can pay for that too?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, aging out. Tell me about aging out and how it works at your facility.
Yeah, so it's not beautiful. I'll say that. I'll own up into that. Um, oh, did you go? I think I lost you, but I'll keep talking. So that so 14 to 24 is our age range, and so once that person hits their 25th birthday, they're not considered eligible for drop-in anymore, honestly. So what that would look like is what we have in place is that, up to 3 months before their 25th birthday, we really dig harder into um, being able to speak on what they want to accomplish and what would things look like for them without drop-in. Um, the pandemic has been hard. We have had a lot of youth aged out. Um, and yeah, it's really hard to navigate that because again, youth show up when they need to. So it's not always consistent. It's not always there you are. I was
Yes.
like, I just keep going.
Yeah, you keep talking. You keep talking. It's your show. No, okay.
Uh, I was just saying, like with drop-in, it's not always consistent that connection because people
Yeah.
really use us when they need to. Like I said, like when people come to drop in, they're at that peak of crisis, so they're there for a reason. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it has been a very big struggle to um, get a plan together for young people who are about to reach the age of 25 to say you're set, you can go now. Like you can't physically come to drop in, but there's always that connection. And then it's hard too because I mean, homelessness and crisis and trauma doesn't just go in a straight line, right? It's going to
I
go.
know, I know. And, I just want to say this real quick, and I want you to finish your thought in regards to that. But that used to be my issue with dealing with juvenile systems, because your program, I mean, is higher than some.
Yeah.
In regards to the age, because it was this idea that, okay, they're 19, 20, or
Mhm.
18, 19, see you. And there were no type of programs, even within that structure, that teaches you how to, budget, or to go grocery shopping, or to pay a bill. It was just like,
Mhm.
okay, now you're a child right now, and then see you later.
Yep.
Hope everything works out for you. Then they end up sometimes at your facility because they have no idea what to do, and they're kind of on their own. So I'm glad that you all have a higher age cutoff, so to speak.
Yeah, and I would say luckily we have backing with that because federally youth is that 14 to 24. Because you
Oh, okay. I didn't know
federally,
that.
yep. So that gives us we have some type of law behind that where
Oh,
where we can have that access to young adults also with younger youth because they're all considered youth under the federal eye. So
I
that
didn't
is
know that. That's good to know.
so then it's always like, so why don't everybody use that?
Exactly. So that's my next question: is that if that's in the, because I didn't realize that, I never knew that. So I wonder, do you think there's a reason why people don't? I mean, I know you can't speak for every facility, but I'm just asking. You're picking your brain a little bit.
Again, I have to go back to that. I'm assuming that, these organizations need structure. Businesses need structure. And I maybe that there's some outdated history about what adulting means. You're 18, you're an adult, and we know that's not necessarily true nowadays. But I
Yeah.
think it's built into a structure in the system and racism. No, I'm sorry, let me stop. I would say um,
Racism. I need to just have something come up and say
just put it on the
racism.
shirt because that's what it is. It's right there. And I think with so many organizations that just been stuck in that, because
Yeah,
there is that work. I mean, some of these foster care, they do a lot of good things, right? So
sure.
being stuck in that structure kind of makes it easier to function, to see numbers, to see impact. And so
Yes.
I think that really just, boils all down to impact, money, and the stakeholders. And it really, at the end of the day, these results that people are looking for and the way that things are designed usually aren't for the people that are accessing those services.
Hello. Say it again for the people in the back.
So, and I think that's where people get stuck in that structure, right? And I don't know how to break that. This is like paperwork and years of service for between like foster care and other institutions. And I don't have the answer for how to break that, but I think that's
Yeah.
what I see.
Yeah, yeah. So yes. So I won't even go down that rabbit hole because that's a whole nother part of it where so a lot of these rules and different things they come up with don't even really they're not designed to help the people that they're supposed to help. So that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So I really want to ask you, how has this journey impacted you? I can speak for myself in regards to working with youth. And I mean, we kind of talked about that earlier. While we were in the queue, how we kind of picked up a bunch of babies along the way, right? You just kind of pick up some that resonates with you, you connect with. But how has it impacted you on this journey? Because I'm sure you've seen a lot, and I know you don't have to use names or anything, but has any situation or different thing, anything kind of impacted you, like something that you remember that kind of resonated with you, or something that I know for me, I have stories that help me say, okay, this is why I do this. I'll keep going because it can be draining. I mean, it's tiring. I mean, it's not easy.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not satisfying either. It's like where is the light, right? And
Yes.
I'm gonna back up and just say that. So I've been with drop in with AYA for almost 3 years.
Okay.
In social work, that's like 15, right? But I've been there for a little 3 years.
Yes.
And I'll tell
Ooh.
you, before that, I was a supervisor of a laboratory.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I worked in laboratory science for almost 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I did that because my blackness made me, you know, my mama telling me that I'm not doing it right unless I make big bucks. And then also the fear of failure. Like,
Yeah.
I had already spent most of my life um drinking alcohol way too much, giving my body, running away, not knowing who I was,
Yeah.
and to be able to step into a position that my partner found. And
Mhm.
I kicked and screamed. I was like, I am not applying for this. Cannot do this. I am not a social worker. But to be able to step into a space that is authentic and affirming to
Yeah.
young people and its staff, I
Yeah.
have never been pushed to love myself harder than I have working for AYA.
Really? Explain that. Explain.
Oh,
Yes, yes,
I
because
mean,
now you dig now you speaking my language. This is my language. Yeah, so speak.
I so you know, the founder of HQ, which is now AYA Drop-In, Chandra Steininger, the first my second interview with her, I was out. Most people knew that I have a partner that is assigned female at birth. I have
Mhm.
a family, all those things, right?
Yeah.
But I also identified secretly as trans, and so
Mm.
you know,
Mhm.
my second interview with her, she asked everybody, what would you like? What are your pronouns? Like, how can I address you? And I was just like, she, her, don't worry about me. And she's just like, she does this little thing with her head. She tilts it to the side. And she's like, that's not what we're going to do here. I need
Right.
you.
And transparency. Yes.
Yep. And literally from that day on, she has taken care of me and pushed me to speak my truth, to live, to love, to understand, and to grow. She put me
Yeah.
in this position.
Yeah.
I worked again for 10 years, working to climb that ladder of laboratory science, STEM work, white men
Mhm.
all over the place. I got barely nothing.
Yeah.
3 years as a director. I didn't start out as a director.
Yeah. Wow.
I was able to be pushed against my comfort level of hating myself and
Mm.
outside of that.
Yeah.
Not just by Chandra, by everybody there. Like, we have a philosophy that bleeds into everybody that steps into that building.
Oh, I love. Yes, I love it. I love it.
So,
Yeah.
I changed it entirely changed my life in
Yeah.
so many ways, starting at that job. And that makes me organically want to push hard to say, I want to make sure I don't fail anybody else. I
Yes.
want to make sure
Yes.
that I walk through, I don't
Yes.
I don't fail them. So, like, I
Yeah.
going back to where it was just like, this is it. This is why I come here. I've never had an instance where it's just like, oh, I got into housing. That's not the greatest feeling, right?
Yeah.
Because again, that homelessness and crisis can ebb and flow. They don't
Mhm.
fail if they don't fall back into the cycle of homelessness. They don't fail.
Yeah.
Uh, but I remember, and this happens often, and it happened it was 2 weeks ago. It was cold. We were getting everybody together. We had a couple people that were staying outside in the woods.
Oh.
And we were just like, if you feel like this is a safe option for you, we're going to make sure you're good. Let's get you a coat. We're going to get you pants. We're going to get you warmers. We're going to get you cards that you can call people if you need food while we're closed, and all these things, right? And so it was a group of young people talking to themselves. And one of them said, you know what? When I age out, I'm going to work here.
Oh.
And then the
Yeah.
next one is like, I'm never aging out. I'm going to be 33 and I'm going to keep coming.
Yeah.
And they said, because this is our home. We
Yeah.
can't, this is our home. You are our family.
Mm.
You treat us better than anybody else. That the one that was talking about she's going to be there till she was 33.
Mhm.
And they're saying, like, just for them to say that no matter how they show up with an attitude, with
Yeah.
tears, with anger, for them to be able to recognize that we still are there for them. We give them that,
Yes.
say, feel yourself, and be able to, like, let us in so we can help, so we can
Consistent.
yeah,
Consistent love. Consistent love. People need consistent love. I just I get really emotional about when I think about when you are taught to love yourself, then you're able to love somebody else. People don't understand that. When we truly love ourselves and we're able to really grasp who we are and be okay with that, then we're able to, give that to somebody else. It's just like this beautiful overflow.
Giving that love with those barriers knocked down. That's true love.
Yes,
That is
true
true
love.
love.
Yes, go ahead, talk.
No, that's what I had to say. You go.
No, I just get so because it's just so many stories, and I think about so many examples, especially in today's time with so much hate and so much just anger, right? And it's like, it's so many people hurting and that are just not healed, right? And when you talk about how she gave you permission and said, hey, it's okay to be you. And you said, oh, then you had to give yourself permission, because no matter how much she gave you permission, it doesn't matter. It was until you said, wait a minute, I can be me, because I know that I am an acquired taste. I know I am.
Yes.
So it's like, but I love every bit of who I am, because, I went through some hard stuff to get to where I am, and I'm still standing and still smiling. So I love every bit of it. And so when I see people hurting, I know what hurt feels like. I know what hurt looks like. And I'm gonna love you through that. I just want to tell you this story real quick. I had a young lady that I met at the juvenile center, and my first interaction with her was her telling me she wasn't gonna do what I told her to do, and she was getting smart and all of this. I said, okay, love, no problem. We go work through this, and I let her have her moment, because I realized that she was hurting. I didn't know her story yet, but I knew for her to be where she was, there was some hurt somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. Fast forward to later, she ended up becoming my mentee. We ended up becoming basically like family. And right now she's with child, and she asked me to be her doula when she gives birth. And so when she has her new baby, I get to be there with her, and it's just a testament to the beauties of life, right? Yes. And showing love. How when she first met me, she had so many walls up. She had been so hurt by her family. I mean, just her story is just, and she had been so hurt. So to have somebody every day say, "How are you?" Yes. You look so pretty. I love your hair like that. Oh, what you doing? And dancing with her, and they showing me new dance. But my point is that it was that consistent love that let her know, wait a minute, she's okay. She's safe for me to be me with. So I just appreciate your story and sharing that.
And that's beautiful that people give you access to something that's going to be the most precious to her.
You right? Just don't know. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's a beautiful thing. So I really appreciate the work that you do for sure. And the fact that you've been there 3 years and feel like you have had greater impact on the world in 3 years than what you did before.
Absolutely. And that may sound selfish, but yeah, when
it's the truth.
You start caring about everybody in the room, it does make a difference.
Yeah.
It's not the people up top, that make a difference. And yeah, being able to work in that is life-changing.
Yeah, on the ground, that's what I say, that groundwork, people that sit up high, quote unquote, and make a lot of rules and stuff and decisions, they don't have a clue. They don't sit there and look at these children cry. They don't sit there and hear the stories. They don't see them when they come in and you can tell they haven't eaten or they're cold,
Yep, absolutely.
So I say, y'all just sit at the table. Y'all keep sitting over there and let us do what we doing over here. How about that?
For a minute, because we'll make it exit the table so we can start making some moves too.
Yes. So I want you to tell people how they can support the ayayouth.org. Let people know how they can support. I know with COVID and stuff, you can't have a lot of people coming in and out, but are there other ways of support? I always want to talk about that in regards to how people can possibly help or volunteer this. So I don't know. Tell me, how can people possibly help?
Yeah. And I mean, that's the biggest start is, acknowledging that we're there. Right. So yeah, you got our website up right there at ayayouth.org, even getting on our mailing list. And you'll be the first to know when we're ready to have people, because that's how we operate. This is how we go. It's because of the time and effort of our community and volunteers. Mm-hmm. Like we're sad that we can't have people involved with youth support and being able to support drop-in and housing. So yeah, you go to our website. I mean, we have a get involved button, and there's a few things that you can do. First of all, the mailing list again, get on that for sure.
Okay.
And we have wish lists. So like we have an Amazon wish list. We have
Oh,
an updated list of supplies, because that's another thing that we do. We have basic needs that we give to youth, because you can't take a shower without clean underwear, right? So
yeah.
we have a wish list for that, and then we also have kind of like a meal calendar, because again, a lot of our support and those hot meals that we give right now, especially, are provided by our team. Like they come in every day with groceries ready to cook on top.
Are you
of
serious?
Right. Yep.
Wow. Oh,
Yep. And
that just, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
yep, like they're coming in. I mean, they are throwing down. They're coming in with steaks and being able to
Oh,
chop it up, and just seeing the eyes light of our youth saying like, oh, I deserve more than sandwiches and soup.
mm,
You know,
yeah.
so being able to have the community support us in that, and we are hopefully someday, this is going to be over, we're going to have volunteer opportunities for drop in, where it's either like support volunteers, where you help us like count all those donations, be in the building, make it look as beautiful as it is, and then also being in drop in one day, being able to sit down with youth and eat that cheesy mac and be able to play Uno and all those things with them. So, and then of course, always check our career page. So if you feel like this is a calling for you and that this fits, you know, your lived experiences and what you want to do, apply. We do have a couple of positions out right now. We have a director of advancement, an administrative position, and a case manager position. So we've got jobs.
Okay. All right, y'all in the Grand Rapids or near area, get on it.
Yes. So yeah, those are definitely ways to get involved, and always just educate. If you don't know, educate yourself. Google is free. I like to say that. So
I don't think people know that, but go ahead.
yeah. But always go on the side of don't do confirmation bias, because you can look up whatever you want to make it real, right? But
That is true. That is
definitely
true.
research on your own and try to make that difference there too.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate the facility, the community. I should call it not a facility. I really should call it a community as opposed to facility. I appreciate AY. And I like what it stands for, as you are. I love that.
Yes.
I love that, because we as a society teach people and almost try to force people to be these images that they are not. And it's like, let people be who they are.
Yeah, you want to know a quick story with that, which is
No,
funny.
you're fine.
So when we did a merge with HQ and 311 Youth Housing in July, so we have a drop-in side and a supportive housing side where youth can live in a duplex with other youth in a mentor.
Oh,
Yep.
oh,
We have 7 houses right now.
oh.
Yeah. So there's that side, but as we're going through this, you know, we're getting these third-party marketers, like marketing people, trying to figure out our branding and colors and all this stuff. And I mean, they get dozens of names. These people that are not in the work, you know, bless their heart, give us dozens of names, and it just didn't feel us. And you know who thought of As You Are?
Oh, who?
House mentor.
Oh,
After
wow.
all that money,
Right. All this money to have somebody.
This person put in a survey and said, you know what? What about AYA As You Are? And we're just like,
yes, that's it.
Nobody tell us that.
Yes. Yes, that's beautiful. I love that story. No, I think that's As You Are. I mean, when I first read that, I was like, yes, I love that. As You Are. You no apologies, no explanations, no adjustments. Yeah. Just who you are. Just come on. Let me love you. And then we'll figure out the rest later. That's the part that it's like, you know, because I'm even thinking about, you know, the homeless that are down impacted right now in, you know, Texas and different areas down there that are literally dying, freezing, you know, like on the ground. They're literally finding people frozen to the ground. And it's like, you know, everybody fighting and who did what. Look, we need to love these people right now. We need to solve this right now. We need to help people right now. We'll figure out the rest later, you know?
Yeah. And it has to start outside of that crisis. Like we should be caring about people before they're about to die. Right.
Yes. So, yes. But that's a whole nother.
It's too late for that now. Now we're being reactive, right? You got to
Yes.
stop being reactive because humans need care every single day.
Yes.
So.
Yes, that is true, and that's definitely, I echo that all the time, and I appreciate you for saying that we have to be more proactive, not always reactive. And love starts way, like you said, way before that crisis. So it's really unfortunate, but again, I definitely appreciate you. I thank you for taking the time to be here today and representing your mission and your journey through life. And thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for feeling safe enough to share your story with me and here with us. I appreciate that.
And I thank you for giving me the chance. You reached out real quick and I was like, yes.
We weren't even done yet. The one lady was still talking. I'm like, let me find her email, because certain people you just connect with. You just feel like, okay, we share this vibe, we share this journey, and those are people that you want to help. It's like, okay, how can I help with what you're doing? Because I may not be in the building, but I can help buy some sheets or another steak. So they can, experience that if they never ate steak before, or whatever it is, because I'm a gardener, I love being outside. So it's like, hey, in the summer, I would love to come in. I don't know what the facility looks like, because I will come to visit. I don't live that far from Grand Rapids.
You come look at it. I always tell people I can talk about dropping all day, but you need to see it, because
I'll come. Trust me. Now don't be surprised when you see Air Patrice and you hear my voice at the front. Like, where's DL at?
Yeah.
Let me see the director. No, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And I wish you and your family well. Stay warm, and we will definitely stay in touch. And I definitely want to share your website with people and encourage them to sign up for the mailing list, and to encourage them to look at that wish list, because we can at least do that. We can at least do that.
I appreciate that.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And you have a beautiful evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. That was a great conversation. I really feel very filled and yes, just overwhelmed with happiness right now. I love conversations like that, when you talk about how to build, how to grow. Those kind of conversations are very productive to me. And so I really feel very blessed and honored to be able to have been a part of that. So I appreciate DL for coming on. And I really do encourage you all. Let me just share the website one more time so you all can have that. And please go and sign up for the mailing list. And please look at the wish list. I'm going to look at it too myself. So thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks. Bye.